Let me share with you 3 of my best all-time driver videos. You know, driving doesn't have to be that complicated, especially when you get some of the secrets that I'm going to share with you here. Let's go and get started. If you're feeling jerky in your golf swing, here's what's happening. With your arms, I want to be nice and wide. You can imagine if I had a line going from my hands to the center of my chest, almost imagine it's in the middle of my chest, kind of where my spine is. I want to keep that line as long as I can in the golf swing. So if I have a great golf swing, I'm going to keep it long in the backswing, really get this great turn. And in the downswing, when I get a bunch of lag and I have this angle in my wrist, I'm still going to have a lot of distance between the center of my body and my hands, or the middle of my hands here. That's what's going to allow you to be really smooth. Think about Ernie Els. Think about Vijay Singh. Think about some of the easiest swinging players, even like a Steve Stricker. Look how much great width he keeps. That's going to help you to keep a lot smoother swing and get a lot of distance. Now, what I see most players doing is they want to get the swing going back quick. They want some more swing speed. What ends up happening is this left arm bends and this right arm really folds up quick. You'll also notice when I do that, that gets the club kind of going back to the inside. It kind of drags the club back in, which I bet you're doing that too. And when you put those two things together, now you get both arms bent, you get a quick backswing, and worst of all, what you're going to do is you're going to get the urge to cast and throw from the top of the swing, lose all that lag that you've worked to have. Now what I want to do is I want you to make a couple quick keys here that I think is going to help a lot. When you set up, feel like your elbow gets in, it's tucked in, and then feel like that stays nice and wide out away from your body. So it's a lot of this right arm. I got to get rid of this idea of like almost pulling like a lawnmower cord. I don't want to have that happen. I want to feel like my elbow stays tucked in, and as I turn back, almost like I had something in my hand and I'm trying to circle it around my body, make it as long as I can there. The left arm will just follow that. For a right-handed player, I find that the right hand's the one that's wanting to take over. It's not the left arm there. So get that elbow kind of tucked in, get the arm extended out from your body. From there, take your grip and try to keep that hand nice and wide all the way in the backswing. And then from there, keep it wide in the downswing. So even though your hands are going wide, you can go ahead and let this club narrow up. You want your wrist to be nice and loose. You can almost imagine this like spokes on an inclined Ferris wheel. So the middle of our body is the center or the hub of the Ferris wheel, and then you have all these spokes on a kind of a tilted Ferris wheel plane like this. I want to keep my hands on the outside of that Ferris wheel going back, and then as I start my downswing, I want the club shaft to lag and kind of ride down the side of that Ferris wheel as I keep my hands wide. If I tend to pick it up, I'm breaking those spokes. I'm kind of crunching the Ferris wheel in, and then I'm going to cast going out like that. So watching this one, I'll swing nice and slow here, nice and smooth, and you'll see how I still get quite a bit of speed when I keep that width. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. All right, the grip. This is a question I get all the time. What's the best grip? Should I have a weaker grip, a neutral grip, or a stronger grip? Well, let's go over what those are. And I actually did a little test here today where I hit 5 shots with each grip. I'm going to tell you what it felt like to me. We're going to compare swing speed, we're going to compare carry distance, total distance, and some of the pros and cons of each of these. There's one of these that I really do not like for most all players, even though it can work. We'll go over that. So let's start off with what I would say is a weaker grip. And the way that I would classify this is if I held my club up, this would be toward the sky, and I would take my grip to where my logo of my glove is toward the sky. Now, it's still going to be in the fingers. So when I'm looking here, it's kind of angled and it's below the meaty part of the hand. Pretty much all these grips are going to be like that. When I set up to the golf ball, you'll see the logo of my glove is almost toward the target. And my right hand, the little V between my thumb and my forefinger, is more vertical or straight up and down. That's a pretty weak grip by most people's standards. Some players that would have been like this would maybe be like Ben Hogan. Tiger Woods is not quite that weak, but he's on the weaker side of it. So there's some good players that have that kind of a grip. But the thing that I don't like about this grip is if I want to get some shaft lean and de-loft it, I really have to bow my wrists a ton. I really have to, you know, if I want to get it from the inside, I've got to look like Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka or some of those guys to really close it up to get that face square and get some shaft lean. So for me, this was one of the more erratic ones. So when I look at these numbers here, when I go to the chart, I'm going to see that my average carry distance was 255, which is really low for me. We'll see compared to the other ones, 277 total. My ball speed was 160. my swing speed was 109. So not the best numbers there. We're gonna compare them to the other ones. I feel like I'm trying to hit all these really good, but man, that one feels like a lot of work. You'll also notice when I pull this screen back up to the shot patterns, the tracers, it was really sporadic for me. So I'm hitting some that are big slices, I'm hitting some that are big hooks. It's so much of that rotation that it's very difficult for me to get an awareness of exactly where the face is. So I don't like this grip as much either for generating a ton of lag. It's not that you can't do it, it's just you have to have really flexible wrists to be able to square that up, get the lag. It just makes it a little bit tougher for most players. I find most players have trouble getting enough of that bowing. I think almost everybody could get more of that bowing of the wrist or turning of the wrist as they're coming through there, so let's not make it any harder on ourselves. Now the second grip would be just kind of a neutral one here, which would be exactly what I normally take. So here, when I have this club face toward the camera, my club is going to be slightly closed, probably 10-15 degrees, and now the grip is up toward the sky. When I set up to the club, you're going to see that the V between my thumb and my finger is now kind of toward my right side of my chin. My right hand is going to be more toward my right shoulder. That's traditionally what most people would say is a pretty neutral grip. That's what I usually do with my own grip. So if I look at the numbers there, remember, 250 something carry, 109 club head speed. Now we're going to go to my neutral grip, 279 carry. Picked up about 22 yards of carry, 300 yards total driving distance average. I picked up 7 miles an hour of swing speed. I picked up 10 miles an hour of ball speed. Now you could argue that the reason that I did all those things, it's like, well, that's just a different grip. So yeah, Clay, you're going to play a little bit better if you use your normal grip than you would if you use a weaker grip that you're not used to. But again, the swing speed, I just find that happening. And really when we go into this third one, I'm going to kind of disprove how playing with a different grip isn't necessarily what's going on. Now, I would say you look at the consistency of those strikes, those are very, very consistent. That's mostly coming from what I was feeling like I was doing. I knew where the club face was. None of the other grips are going to be as consistent because it's not just what I'm used to. Now, when I go over here and take my third grip, I'm actually going to use a really strong grip. So now that face is going to be almost probably 30-45 degrees closed when the logo of my glove is up toward the sky. And when I take a look at that one, I call this kind of a hammer grip. Actually, let me go grab a hammer. I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Now with this hammer, kind of a dinky hammer here, I don't have a big one laying around, but if I take this normal, or if I take this stronger grip, my hand is kind of turned more to the right like that. Again, the club would be closed compared to my wrist angle here. It's almost like if I had a hammer like this, if I'm grabbing a hammer straight up and down like I'm a hammer a nail, and I turned it this way, and now this golf ball, I'm going to hammer the back of the golf ball like that, so my grip is really turned sideways. That's kind of a Paul Azinger grip. That's kind of some of the stronger grips that you might see on the PGA Tour. And the right hand would be the same thing. It's turned much more under like this, and it's almost like the right hand's going to hammer the back of that golf ball. The advantage of this one is I don't have to get as much of the rolling of the wrist. So when you're looking at DJ really bowing the wrist, or you're looking at those guys that have the wrist really bowed through impact, the right wrist, the right knuckles really bent back, you don't have to do that if you have the hammer grip. If I actually took that hammer grip and I did that same thing, it would actually be over closed, too much forward shaft lean, too little loft, too much of a hook, which most players need a lot more of that. So when I tried that grip out, I got to tell you, it actually felt the best on the contact. If I go back, I'll actually go back to the first couple drivers here. On my driver, the smash factor averaged 1.48 on my normal driver. I averaged 1.47 on my weak grip driver. And I averaged 1.48 on my stronger grip driver. Now, I had one bad miss hit in there where it was only a 1.43, but I had one, which was the highest, a 1.51. I got to tell you, that felt amazing. 278 carry, 295 distance, so a little bit shorter than my normal one. 170 ball speed, 115.5 club head speed, pretty similar on there. So what I found by this, and I think this is a kind of an interesting one, and I think this would actually be a good grip to experiment with from some players, is when I take this really strong hammer grip, it automatically sets me more to the right, what I call stable fluid spine. It automatically gets me in a position where I feel like it's really easy to get lag. It's almost impossible with this grip to come over the top like that. you take this strong grip, you're automatically going to be coming from the inside, shallowing that club out, getting it from the inside that way. It's probably what I would call the cheater grip. This is like the kind of cheater position. You really get it strong, and man, you can get a lot of those positions without having to work as hard on that. So I'd say most players tend toward the stronger grip type. Now the disadvantage of this is it was so strong that in my brain, if I move my body the way a golf swing should move, and I have a pretty good fundamentals on my swing, it feels like it is going to hook like crazy. I feel like I'm just going to hit crazy duck hooks to the left. So I have to really feel like I'm kind of holding off on it. And I don't like that feeling as much for some players because it's really easy if I feel like I'm holding off to almost fall back a little bit and maybe hit some chunks on there. So that would be the one disadvantage with that stronger grip. If I got a video for you to help you hit your driver absolutely fantastic, you're going to feel like this thing is a weapon. And all we have to do is a few simple things that all great drivers of the golf ball do. And once we incorporate that technique, driving is going to get to be fun. Now the first one is we need to be behind the golf ball. So when I measure tour pros, as they come down into impact, their head is well behind the golf ball. They're almost looking at the golf ball from behind it like this. I see a lot of players when they're hitting drivers, especially drivers that are very poor drivers of the golf ball, they'll get that head in front, and now all of a sudden my nose is over the golf ball or in front of the golf ball, and I'm going to start to chop down, or I'm going to back up out of my posture, I'm going to flip it, I'm going to do all these things that I don't want to do. So let's go ahead and do a little trick here. It's going to help us get in the right position. I want to play the ball on kind of the inside of my left foot. The exact position is up to you. You can move it around, but anywhere up there is good. I'm going to take a stance that's slightly wider than shoulder width. That way I can get some good power into the shot. And I'm going to put my hands with my fingertips even on my thighs. So I mean my fingertips are at the same level here as I set up. I'm straight up and down here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt, and I'm going to let my hips go forward, my upper body go back slightly. That's going to take my shoulders and tilt them a little bit more this way. And my fingertips on my right hand are going to come down until they're just above my knee or my right knee. So I'm going to slide them down this way. Now they're just above my knee. My left hand is going to be moving up my leg like this as that happens. And now I've got my body in the perfect angle to be able to hit this ball from the inside and be really shallow. So now that I'm here, I'm behind the golf ball now, I feel like I'm going to stay there the entire time. It's going to help me to get in from the slot. And if you look from face on, you're going to see that I'm not moving around all over this. I can really stay in that one position. Even though I'm getting a little weight shift, my head is staying there, which is going to make me very consistent. Now, if you do this correct, you should be able to hit a nice power draw out there because your body's in the position to make that happen. Let's go ahead and try that out. There we go, crushed that one. Felt really nice. Stay from the inside, 306. Great club head speed and ball speed, so really nice shot. Now, if you're not set up in the right way, if you don't have your body behind the golf ball and you're in front like that, I find that you'll fight that forever. You'll try all these other tips and your body's just out of position. It's going to be too hard to do the other things you want to do. So maybe if you're sliding in front and you're steep, well, it's going to be tough to get from the inside, shallow it out if I'm sliding in front. So fix that one piece first. Keep your head behind the golf ball. Now you're in position to where you can do the other things that great golf drivers do. So let's go ahead and do 5 reps of this. Again, slide your fingers down to your right fingers above your knee. Do that and make a practice swing. Do 5 reps of that so you get the feeling of it. Then you can go ahead and start hitting some golf balls. Now, the second piece of it makes it really easy to get shallowed out and from the inside. Makes it almost foolproof to do this. Now, I have an impact bag here. And if you want this exact impact bag, this is my favorite one. Eyeline Golf makes this one. It has a couple slants for your irons. It's very durable. Love this impact bag. I'll put a link in the description or somewhere on this page. If you buy one of these from that link, we get a few bucks, helps us to make these great videos for you. Keep on making this great content. But if not, use a pillow, use a rolled up towel. You can use whatever you want to make this happen. This is just the one that I prefer. So I'm going to put it 1 foot behind my golf ball, and it's going to be in line with my golf ball. So what I mean by that is, if I put a club on the edge of this impact bag on this wall of it, it should be lined up with my golf ball here. Now that allows me to swing from the inside, miss this impact bag, and get that nice draw without ever hitting it. Now if I start to lean in front again, like we talked about, I start to get steep on the downswing, I'm going to be chopping down in that impact bag. It's in the way. Now be careful to give yourself a little bit extra space at the beginning and then gradually scoot that forward if you're an over-the-top player. Again, I'm going to do my tilt, And then from here, here's what I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna feel like, now that my body is behind it, I've cleared out an alley for me to swing this way. Now that's exaggerated. I wanna feel like this club is almost on this wall back here and then swinging out to that wall over there. Now that's not really happening, but I can tell you the number of people that I see that overshallow the club, almost zero. The number of people that I see that get too steep and out here, almost 100%, right? So let's go ahead and exaggerate this. I've got my body in a good position now. I'm gonna feel like this club gets back on this wall and then swings out toward that wall. Again, not really gonna happen, but that's the feeling that we wanna have. Again, here, I'm gonna try to hit a nice little power draw. Let's give it a whirl. Yeah, hit that one nice. Started down the right center, drawing back. Couldn't ask for anything better than that. Great distance, 299. Carried 280 in the air. Very happy with that one. Now, I wasn't going 100% at it. I can always kick it up a little bit, but I find this last thing helps you to swing as hard as you want to and not have to worry about that ball coming back. So do your 5 reps of that again. We got our tilts. We did 5 reps with the fingertips. We did 5 reps, club into the wall, missing this impact bag. And now finally, this is the piece that I think makes this easy to do. You see, when you're coming over the top, this right forearm gets high. And as I'm making my downswing, if I'm over the top or steep, you're gonna see my right forearm is kind of covering up my left forearm where you almost can't see it on the camera there. It's blocking it. Now, if I do this correctly and I come from the inside with some good lag, look how now my right forearm is well underneath my left forearm. You could even have a player put a club shaft between your forearms and kind of set it like that. I won't be able to do this because I'm just by myself, but I'm gonna have someone even put a club kind of last parallel. They should be able to fit a club between your forearms there. So whenever you pause, last parallel means when my club shaft is parallel to the ground in the downswing, you should be able to fit a golf club through there and not be able to hit it. If I'm steeper, no way I'm getting the club in there. It's gonna feel like I'm snapping that off. Now from there, that puts me in a position where I have this late lag. I'm from the inside, and now I'm gonna feel like I hammer this ball from the inside. Here's what I mean by that. If I had a wall here, let's actually pretend I'm gonna hit this wall. If I was gonna hit this wall with my club, I'd turn the tip of the club out like I got it like an axe. If I come through here, I'd be doing exactly that. Look how my right forearm is lower than my left arm. And then from there, I'm gonna have my hands almost to this wall, and then I'm gonna release the club and hammer it. It feels really powerful. That's the exact same thing you're doing in your golf swing. I'm getting this club lagging from the inside, right forearm below the left, and then I'm gonna hammer that golf ball from the inside the same way that I was hammering the wall right there. Now that's a very powerful feeling for most players, and once you feel that, it's like the light bulb goes off. Now I understand why I have to be behind the golf ball. That's to get me in this position. Now I understand why I can miss this bag and still hit a great shot. That gets me in that same position. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the 3 things we mentioned, another 5 reps of that hammer motion with the right forearm lower, and you've got the feel of exactly what you need to do. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl here. I'm gonna crank this one up a little bit. Let's get a little bit more swing speed on this one. There we go, went a little harder at that one. Again, the nice draw came from right to left. 318 on that one, club head speed went up to 120. But the best part is, I don't have to worry about it. I know that I can swing as hard as I want to because that ball is going to come back from right to left because my body's in the right position and my club's working in the right way. Now, there's one last piece, one final piece that I think players have been taught wrong, and that's to release the club in a roll type method. Now, I've made a video that I call the anti-roll method. If you do this one thing wrong, it's going to throw a big wrench in the works. You're going to feel like, hey, I can see this feels powerful to me. I can see how Clay is hitting the heck out of the golf ball by doing that. But because of the way that I've been taught to release the club, everything's going to the right when I have the correct mechanics. You see, you need to learn the mechanics that the pros have, which is the anti-roll method, what I call the anti-roll method. That's my specific way of teaching it. I'm going to play a preview of my anti-roll method video. I'm going to teach you the right way to release it so that you can get in these positions and release the club to get it to draw every single time. Once I show you this, you'll realize, oh man, I've been doing it. I've been releasing the club the wrong way for a very long time. So I'll play a preview of that video here in just 1 second. All you need to do is go ahead and click one of the cards that pops up on your screen. If you don't see the card, don't worry. Go down to the description below this video, click the link there and you'll get instant access. I can't wait to see you in the anti-roll method. Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strike. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,